What is up, guys? It is the Bluebloods here with another week one preview, man. And we have a Friday night matchup, man. I'm so excited for. Listen, I know a lot of people get off at 5 p.m. Central on Friday, go straight to your nearest sports bar, go straight to the house because you're going to want to catch this one. We got the number 10 North Carolina Tar Heels headed into Blacksburg, one of the most legendary environments at night. Perfect environment for an upset with the Virginia Tech Hokies. 5.5 point favorites right now are the Tar Heels. Like I said, 5 p.m. Central Time, live on ESPN. And I think this matchup has the ability to largely impact the ACC race. I mean, you look at the Tar Heels and the Hokies, you look at the Tar Heels with the strong momentum that they earned off of last season. They reached the top five in like mid October last year and are a top 10 preseason team with a Heisman favorite at quarterback. And then the Hokies looking to bounce back from a sub 500 season, but they've returned one of the most dynamic wide receiving cores in the country. And let's be honest, the magic of Blacksburg is real. I'm so excited. Fans are back. The environment's going to be absolutely electric. This game is a must see this week, and it's in my top five games that you have to watch this weekend. And let's get to the keys real quick, man. Let's get to the keys for winning for UNC. And the key is so simple for if you're North Carolina in this game is protect Sam Howell and let him do what he do. That's it. I know it's not proper, but just let him do what he does, man. Let him do what he do. That's just be posted everywhere for the Tar Heels because we know he can lead this team. He's one of the best QBs in the country, and he can carry this team as far as you let him. But one of the problems last year for the Tar Heels was that the offensive line struggled at times to protect Howell, and it cost the Tar Heels in multiple games, especially that Florida State game in the first half when everything fell apart for North Carolina. And coming into the season, they got some guys that have a lot of promise, some guys with starting experience, but it still ranks 12th in the ACC, bottom three. And when you look at the Hokies, though, the biggest weakness is I don't think they possess a true edge threat. And so that's going to be one a matchup to watch, just a little preview, but also it's going to help the Tar Heels. And if you can just protect Howell enough to give him enough time in the pocket to go do some special things, I think Howell coming off a back-to-back 3,500 yard seasons, 30 touchdowns in each season, and being one of the top candidates for the Heisman Trophy, if you just give him time and protection, he's going to be able to go make some plays. Now, I understand they got to replace Diami Brown, and they have to replace Daz Newsome. But look out for these three names: Josh Downs, Bo Corrales, and Kyriev Brown. Those three guys are going to be the top three wide receivers, most likely for the Tar Heels. And I think Bo Corrales and Josh Downs are going to be two guys that you're going to have to watch. They have some experience, but they're mostly unproven guys that haven't been counted on to be wide receiver ones yet. So who's going to emerge and who can go out there and be the go-to target that Sam Howell needs? He needs a guy he can go to in man-to-man coverage that can go out there, get separation, and make plays, and he needs that deep threat to take off the top of the defense. So who's going to step into what role, and who's going to be his every down guy, who's going to be his deep threat guy, who's going to step into the slot? There's a lot of questions surrounding who's going to step up, but luckily you have one of the best signal callers in the country that can go out there and make some plays for you. And then, of course, the reason you lean on Sam Howell is because who's going to start at running back? You have to find a way to replace Michael Carter and Javonte Williams. They're one of the two biggest losses in the country. Both of them are on NFL rosters. Javonte Williams might take over the starting job for the Broncos. Todd Chandler, transfer out of Tennessee, in which he has over 2,000 career rushing yards, steps in as running back one. But there's a name I want y'all to remember. Caleb Hood has been a name to watch for all fall camp. He's been balling out all summer workouts. And for me, he's an interesting case because he's a converted quarterback as well. And we saw what UNC did with Chaz Surratt at linebacker, converted quarterback. Caleb Hood looks to be the next line of converted position guys who are standing out at their new position. Look for Ty Chandler and Caleb Hood to get some major touches early and really help Sam Howell lead this offense. But it's all on Sam Howell. The key to victory when you have a quarterback like Sam Howell is just let him do what he does. That's it. That should be written everywhere. Just let Sam Howell do what he does. And for Virginia Tech, it also kind of falls on Braxton Burmeister, but in a different way. Because the thing for Braxton Burmeister is just don't crash the Ferrari. You have the better wide receiving unit in this matchup. You have one of the best in the ACC. Don't turn the ball over and make sure you're accurate so you can get the ball to your playmakers and let them do what they do. And there you go. It's let them do what they do is to quote for both teams, but in different ways. One, UNC has to let Sam Howell do what he does, and Virginia Tech has to let Trey Turner and Tavion Robinson do what they do. And, you look at Turner and Robinson, they've combined for over 2,000 yards receiving, over 15 touchdowns in the past few seasons. Both are so dynamic. But for Braxton Burmeister, you can also count on your big tight end in James Mitchell, who was a top 10 graded tight end by Pro Football Focus last year. Burmeister struggled with turnovers, guys, at Oregon. Let's be honest. 6 interceptions to only 2 touchdowns his first freshman season, and he's been seen in limited action. He led Virginia Tech to 3 big wins early last season when I believe Hendon Hooker was out with COVID or an injury, something like that. But for me, he leaned on Khalil Herbert a lot, who was also off to the NFL. So they have a big spot at running back to also shore up for Virginia Tech. For me, though, Burmeister needs to make sure he keeps the ball out of harm's way. He shows that pocket presence and the command of the offense that you need to see. And also, just make sure you put the ball where your playmakers can go make plays. Get them out in space, hit them in stride, and this Virginia Tech offense can keep up with anyone in the country. This game was one of the highest scoring games last season. It was so competitive, and I know, UNC ended up pulling it out, but these teams went back and forth, and neither defense had a terrible day last year in this game, and both offenses really showed out. I think you're going to see that matchup again. And the key for Virginia Tech on defense, that you have to get pressure on Sam Howell. Even though he's one of the best quarterbacks under pressure, if you can get to him and get him out of his rhythm, that's the only way you're going to stop him. And also the best way to do that is stop this unproven running game and take advantage of this weak offensive line. If you can't do anything else, you have to take advantage of the one true weakness of UNC, which is the offensive line. Get pressure somehow. I expect Virginia Tech to pin their ears back early and say, okay, let's see what this offensive line has week 1 on the road, where it's probably going to be loud enough. You got to do a silent count. The communication is going to be limited. This defensive line has to prove that it's being underrated this preseason, because if it doesn't show up, UNC is going to run away with this game. If it shows up, Virginia Tech has the chance to pull one of the biggest week 1 upsets that we could see. And for the matchup to watch, though, I had so many, man, because it's the D line and O line for the O line for UNC, the D line for Virginia Tech is a huge one. But I want to pick a matchup that's strength versus strength, guys. And that's the Virginia Tech wide receiving core and tight end core that I just talked about. But also the Tar Heels secondary is no joke. When I look at what Tony Grimes and Storm Duck can do together, I think there's only one other DB duo that can even rival them, and it's Elias Ricks and Derek Stingley down at LSU, who are 2 5-stars. Derek Stingley might be the best defensive player in college football. Tony Grimes stepped in last year as an early enrollee, and when he should have been playing high school football, found a way to start for the Tar Heels by the end of the season and show great promise late in the year, was one of the highest graded DBs the last few weeks of the season. And Storm Duck has been a staple on the outside of this defense for multiple years now. He's going to be the unquestioned leader of that secondary. And so you have 2 true shutdown corners that can play man-to-man. They understand their assignments. They can play zone. They have the experience in big games now, and they know what it's like to play with expectations, given that UNC was the number 5 team in the country last year. And for me, it's going to come down to whether this Tar Heels secondary can slow down what Trey Turner, Tavian Robinson, and Braxton Burmeister want to do, and or if those guys can go make plays against one of the better secondaries that I think they'll see all season. You know, UNC's defense has really had I guess, an evolution from being a pretty weak unit to being one of the stronger units too. I guess an honorary mention matchup is can this Virginia Tech O line protect Braxton Burmeister? Because I think if you get pressure on Burmeister, you could have a long day if you're the Hokies. And they got some dogs coming in for UNC on that D line. And you got the Desmond Evans, you got the Keyshawn Silvers, you got the Ritzies, and you got the Tamarian Foxes of the world. They have multiple guys who can get to the quarterbacks, and Virginia Tech has to be ready to block that front seven because UNC is going to have some guys who can get pressure if they don't execute. But linebacker replacing Chad Surratt is going to be difficult for UNC, so that also could be a position to watch for the Tar Heels and whether Virginia Tech can find some way to exploit it. But this game's so tricky because when you're like concocting an upset in your head, you're like, okay, a Friday night game, odd day to play a game, perfect, check. Tough road environment to play in, check. Night game where the fans are going to be rowdy, ready, and going to be there, check. A team with everything to gain and nothing to lose is looking to prove that they're still relevant. Got that check. A team coming in with all the pressure, all the expectations, and a quarterback that's going to have the pressure on him. Check. A team coming in with all the pressure with some question marks who lost their 2 best running backs and 2 best wide receivers and arguably their best defensive player in Chad Surratt. Check. The cocktail for an upset, the concoction for an upset is there for the Hokies. If when we recap this game Saturday morning, Sunday night, whenever we drop the recap, I won't be surprised if Virginia Tech wins this game. Not even in the slightest. I'll say, man, look, I told y'all all the stuff is there. But for me, I'm going to ride with the Tar Heels in a close one. I think this game is going to be neither team, unless it's an early lead that gets closed up late. I think this is a one-score game to the last second. I think it's going to come down to Sam Howell having to make a play late and or that defense having to make a big stop late. Someone misses a field goal. Someone makes a turnover. Someone makes a bad mistake at the end of the game. I have the Tar Heels 38, Virginia Tech 34, a 4-point win. I don't have the Tar Heels covering that 5.5-point spread. I think this game is going to be so competitive, and I think all the makings are there for a huge upset in Blacksburg. But I really love what I see out of both of these teams. I think Virginia Tech, in my opinion, is one of the sleepers in the ACC. It should be one of the top teams in their division. But for me, when I'm looking at the quarterback battle, I think Sam Howell is heads above what Braxton Burmeister can do. And the problem is the weakness for UNC is the O-line, but I don't know if Virginia Tech's D-line is capable of exploiting it like they should. When you look at the strength of Virginia Tech, which is their wide receivers, they're going up against the defensive strength of UNC, so maybe they can limit that strength. So for me, due to the matchup differentials where I don't think Virginia Tech's going to be able to execute on the weakness of UNC, but UNC is going to be able to slow down their strength, I like UNC in a close one, 38-34. But guys, comment your predictions below. Tell me where I'm wrong. Tell me where I'm right. Give me your score prediction right now. Stop now. Comment it below. And also, man, hit that subscribe button. We have so much great content coming, man. I would love to have y'all here on the Bluebloods as we drop more college football content. I promise there ain't a channel on YouTube you can find that will drop more quality content than us, man. And, appreciate it as much as we appreciate y'all's support. But guys, we'll have previews dropping all throughout the day. Texas, Louisiana, Lafayette drops this afternoon. And also Penn State, Wisconsin also drops this afternoon. So 2 more episodes today. And tomorrow we get into some huge matchups. So make sure to subscribe. But guys, appreciate the support. But for the Blue Bloods, we'll be back soon.